Hello, friends. So I'm excited to do a TBR video. I never do a TBR. I never do a TBR video. I know I will always go astray, so I don't ever do these videos. And quite honestly, it's because I never actually pick out a TBR. I kind of just mood read. I just pick a book as I go. I never actually set a goal or line up what I'm going to read and plan ahead. My brain just doesn't work like that. I'm not good at planning ahead on reading because then for some reason, as soon as I plan ahead on what to read, that's when I end up losing interest or it kind of starts to slow me down and put me in a rut. So I don't ever do it. But it's a little bit different this time because I am so excited for the fall season. And so I wanted to do one this time. I was looking for a book at the library and I ended up putting way too many on hold. So then I thought, might as well put them on a fall TBR because I have them anyways. And I don't have them for long. I have to return them. So I might as well read these books. So they're going to kind of go on a TBR anyways. Let me slow down. Let me take it back a notch and properly pace this video. So I was really excited that it's starting to become fall. I'm getting fall vibes. It might not be a fall yet, but I am ready for the fall vibes. And so I'm excited to do a fall TBR. I have a cart this year for my class and I already have it all decked out in Halloween decorations. And my students tell me, it's not October yet. It's not Halloween yet. To which I say, so what? And what does that mean? That means nothing to me. Maybe they have a fair point with Halloween, but I feel like it is fair game once Starbucks releases the pumpkin spice latte. Game on. It's game on for fall. So it is fall in my household. So I am going to get into my fall TBR. Now I've got a lot going on and I don't want to set myself up for failure. So my fall TBR is not going to be very long because I've only taken half of my exam. So I'm still getting through that. And I'm still in grad school taking classes. So I've got a lot on my plate right now. And then, the school year started back up. So, lesson planning and such. So I still got a lot on my plate. I want to over explain it, but we're just going to see where this goes. And I've got like a small TBR. If I get through it, it would be nice. It would be nice. For me, getting into the fall reading vibe is a lot of fantasy and thrillers and suspense. I guess it doesn't have to be necessarily thriller, but something that's got a little bit of edge to it. So maybe like a little suspense or mystery or whatever. Those are the kind of things that put me in a fall mood. I'm a very big mood reader, but especially when it comes to seasons. Like in the summer, I want summery books that are going to a book that has that summer vibe, that's got that beach read vibe. That's kind of what puts me in the mood, gets me in a good mood, and makes me want to read. And it's got fun, bright colors on the cover. Those are the things that I'm looking for when I am in the summer mood. But now when it's fall, I want something that's going to give me those nice fall feelings. And a lot of that is going to be fantasy and mystery or thriller. And I'm not really going to be looking for like romance or, I don't really know what I read. Well, there you have it. Well, so fantasy and thrillers are what I'm looking for. And I went through saying all of that when the very first book on my list is none of that. You cannot kick off fall without Pumpkinheads. So Pumpkinheads is one of my absolute favorites, but also it is about the fall vibe that it gives me. I love the colors. I love the illustration. The story is cute as well. I said that right? But it is amazing. Love that. This book just 100% sets the fall tone for me, and I absolutely love it. I look forward to rereading it every year. Love it. Love the colors. Love the vibes. Love the illustrations. It is just a wonderful book. Yeah, it's just a wonderful book, and I love everything about it. I'm trying to get like a really good one. Well, the map's really good anyways. I want some more fall graphic novels that are as good as this one, but I don't know if anything is as good as this one. So that's what is going to kick off the TBR with this one. A good one. A good one. The best one. Since we're already talking about graphic novels, another one that I reread every year is Sheets. So I love both of these a lot, and I do reread them every year in the fall. Sheets I don't love as much as Pumpkinhead. Well, I guess I just love them differently. Well, I guess I don't love it enough to purchase it. I need to get my own copy. But yeah, I love them both differently. Pumpkinheads really has more of the fall vibes for me. I really like the colors, and I love pumpkin patches, so I really like this one. But Sheets has a really deep story to it as well, and I still like it a lot. I don't love the illustrations as much, but I still really, and some of the pages are still, and some of these pages are still really hitting hard with the fall vibes. So really like this one too. There we go. In focus. So that one is really good too. I read it. I like it a lot. I haven't read the second or the third one. Maybe this will be the year that I do that. So those are my two graphic novels for fall. I didn't even say what the books were about, did I? No, I didn't. Okay, let me go back to that. So Pumpkinheads is pretty much just about these two best friends that work on a pumpkin patch, and it is their last fall together before they go off to college. I think they're on a mission. I can't even remember their names, and I read it all the time. They're on a mission he's got a crush on somebody that works at the pumpkin patch, and so they're on a mission to get him to talk to her and confess his crush and hook them up, and all the little shenanigans that they have I think it's the last night, actually. It's not just about the last season. It's the very last night of them working this fall season before they go off to college. It is about being best friends, just trying to get him to get the opportunity to talk to the girl that he's crushing on. And it's a really cute story. I really like how this one ends up too. That one's cute. Sheets is about this girl. I think her mom passed away. She's pretty much running the laundromat. Her dad's kind of like spiraling into depression. And so she's the one that's left to pick up the pieces. And she's running the laundromat for them and taking care of her little brother. And then the sheet is a ghost, a child that has passed away, and he's already in the afterlife. He ends up leaving his little ghost community, and he ends up at the laundromat. I think maybe he was trying to clean his sheet. I'm not sure. But so they end up crossing paths. The story has a little bit of a darker undertone to it. It's a deeper story, but it's still a really good one, and I like it a lot. Those are obviously rereads, but they're still in my TBR, so they still count. Fourth Wing, I don't really feel like I need to, by Rebecca Yarros. I don't feel like I need to go into this because I feel like everybody on the planet has read this book, so I don't really need to go into what it's about. So that'll be one of my fantasies. Yellowface, it's not really a thriller, but it's kind of still, I would think, like a suspense, maybe. It's pretty much about these two authors that went to Yale together, I believe. Where their success lies is kind of the extreme opposite. You have one author, Athena Liu, that is an extremely successful author. She's very well known, has already really successful published work. I think she even ends up signing a multi-million-dollar Netflix deal, I believe. And then it is the other author that is June Hayward, I think is her name. And they went to Yale together, and she's an author, but she's not very well known, so she doesn't have as quite the successful career. They're kind of more like frenemies, I think. They're not exactly close, but they're friends. The successful author dies, so June ends up getting her hands on her latest manuscript, and then she ends up publishing it as her own. But Athena Liu is Chinese, and so I believe the work that she is, this last manuscript, has a lot to do with Chinese culture. And so I think like June even she's not necessarily lying, but she's kind of making her race a little bit more ambiguous. She writes under her middle name. So then her name goes from June Hayward to Juniper Song. So then that way it's a little bit more racially sensitive, I believe, instead of trying to push an Asian book written by a white author. So kind of all these little things that they do, or that she's even willing to do to get this book published. And then I believe it becomes really successful. The book ends up blowing up, and then it kind of spirals from there, I believe is what it's about. I got the Illumicrate version, and so here is the cover, still the same. The naked cover. Oh, and then it's cute because it's got like these little parts that look like Post-its in it. And then the naked cover is really pretty too. And then it's got the name of the book in the story. And then it's wrote by Athena Liu, but then Juniper Song passes it off as her own. So I thought that was cute. And then here are the edges. Oh, you can't see it because of the flap. Okay. And then there are the edges. So, Yellow Face by Rebecca F. Kwong. Then I am reading from last month's Book of the Month pick, Lisa Jewell, None of This Is True. This one is about... So it's about these two women that have the same birthday, and they end up crossing paths one night. One of them is a podcaster, a pretty successful podcaster. So they end up crossing paths, and the other one is kind of like a little bit stalkerish. And so I believe she ends up maybe stalking her or following her, or ends up tracking her down and kind of like watching her podcast, listening to her podcast, ends up becoming closer to her and kind of like starting this friendship with her. And then as the podcaster starts to get to know the stalkerish girl, things start to get a little bit weird and dark and twisted. She starts to slowly uncover a little bit about the birthday twin, the Josie girl. I'm saying this so confusing. I think they're Josie and Alex. I think Alex is the podcaster. As Alex starts to get to know her more and uncover things, I think that she can tell that there's something going on with the daughters that is... something's not right, that Josie seems to be hiding something or lying. Josie ends up going missing, and then Alex is kind of stuck in the middle of this really horrible situation by letting Josie enter her life. I'm really excited to read that one, and it is, again, None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. The rest of these are library books. Some of these I just grabbed because I wanted some thrillers, and then the other ones I just ended up getting. I was looking for The Only Survivors and accidentally clicked the wrong one and ended up checking out The Girl from Widow Hills by Megan Miranda, and it wouldn't let me cancel the hold. So I just ended up with this one. I have no idea what it's about. The Girl from Widow Hills, I just don't know anything about it. So it says, when Arden was a child, she was swept away while sleepwalking during a rainstorm. Against all odds, she was found days later still alive. The miraculous girl from Widow Hills inspired fans, but also creeps and stalkers. And as soon as she was old enough, Arden changed her name to Olivia and moved far away. But as the 20th century of Arden's rescue approaches, interest in her 20th century... Whoa. But as the 20th anniversary of Arden's rescue approaches, interest in her renews, and soon Olivia feels like she's being watched and begins sleepwalking again. And then one night she jolts awake in her yard and discovers the corpse of a man she knows from her previous life. And now the girl from Widow Hills is about to become the center of the story once again. It still sounds good. I just didn't know anything about it, didn't mean to check it out, and it wouldn't let me cancel it. So I guess we're reading this one too. It probably will be at the bottom of my list, just in case I don't get through some things, since I got to return them to the library. Then that leads us to the next one, which is The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. It says, 7 hours in the past, 7 days in the present, 7 survivors remaining. Who would you save? A decade ago, 2 vans filled with high school seniors on a school service trip crashed into a Tennessee ravine, a tragedy that claimed the lives of multiple classmates and teachers. The 9 students who managed to escape the river that night were irrevocably changed, and a year later, after one of the survivors dies by suicide on the anniversary of the crash, the rest of them make a pact to come together each year to commemorate that terrible night, to keep one another safe, to hold one another accountable, or both. Their annual meeting place, a house on the Outer Banks, has long been a refuge, but by the 10th anniversary, Cassidy Bent has worked to distance herself from the tragedy and from the other survivors. She changed her mobile number, she blocked the others' emails, and this year, she's determined to finally break ties once and for all. The day of the reunion, she receives a text with an obituary attached. Another survivor is gone, and so now there are 7, and Cassie finds herself hurling back towards the group, wild with grief and suspicion. Almost immediately, something feels off this year. Cassidy is the first to notice that when Amaya, the annual organizer, slips away overwhelmed, this wouldn't raise an alarm except for the impending storm. Suddenly, they're facing the threat of closed roads and surging waters again, and then Amaya stops responding to her phone. After all they've been through, she wouldn't willfully make them worry, would she? I'm going to be honest, I was really looking for some thrillers, so I thought that this would be, but this is not what I thought it was going to be. But that cover is really pretty, so there's that. All right, the next one is She Started It. Again, I have no idea what this one is about either. I was just looking for some thrillers, something to kind of keep me on the edge. So this one is The Party of a Lifetime is nothing like what they expected. Annabelle, Esther, Tanya, and Chloe are best friends, or they were as children, and they drifted apart in adulthood, but shared secrets have kept them bonded for better or worse. And even as their childhood dreams haven't quite turned out as they hoped, then one day they receive a wholly unexpected invitation from another old friend. Poppy Greer has invited them all to her extravagant bachelorette party, 3 days of white sand, cocktails, relaxation on a luxe private island in the Bahamas. None of them has spoken to Poppy in years, but Poppy's Instagram pic shows that the girl they used to consider the weakest link in their group has definitely made good and made money. Curiosity gets the better of them. Besides, who can turn down a posh, all expenses paid vacation on a Caribbean island? The first class flight and the island's accommodations are just as opulent as expected. Even in the scenic island proves more remote than they've anticipated. Quite remote, in fact, that with no cell service and no other guests. The women quickly discover they've underestimated Poppy and each other, and as their darkest secrets are revealed, the tropical adventure morphs into a terrifying nightmare. Endlessly twisty, sharply observant, and deliciously catty. She Started It is sure to shock readers until the very end. It kind of makes me think of the writing retreat. Like the writing retreat seemed to be like this really once in a lifetime dream opportunity, and then they were horribly wrong, and it ended up being instead of like this dream come true, it was actually quite the nightmare. So this one kind of gives me those vibes, except for, you know, with the writing retreat, they were meeting somebody that they all a fan of, whereas this one, it sounds like a friend that is trying to avenge all of her wrongdoers. And then my last one is The Bandit Queens. I don't know anything about this, and it's not even fantasy or thriller like I was going for. I can't help it, but when I go to the library, I always peek through the new release shelf. I was just scanning through that, and nothing was really catching my eye. And then I saw this one, and I thought that the cover looked fun, but it sounded interesting. So it says, she didn't kill her husband, but why not let everyone believe that she did? So 5 years ago, Gita lost her no-good husband, as in she actually lost him. He walked out on her. She has no idea where he is, but in her remote village in India, rumor has it that Gita killed him. It's a rumor that just won't die. As it happens, being known as a self-made widow comes with some perks. No one messes with Gita, harasses her, or tries to marry her. It's even been good for business. No one dares to not buy her jewelry. So freedom must look good on Gita, because now other women are asking for her expertise, making her an unwitting consultant for husband disposal. And not all of them are asking nicely. With Gita's dangerous reputation becoming a double-edged sword, she has to find a way to protect the life that she's built for herself, but even the best laid plans of would-be widows tend to go awry. What happens next sets in motion a chain of events that will change change everything, not just for Gita, but for all women in the village. Filled with clever criminals, second chances, and wry and witty women, The Bandit Queens is a razor-sharp debut of human and heart that readers won't soon forget. So that sounds good to me, and it kind of almost makes me think a little bit. I know it's a far stretch, but it kind of almost makes me think about Finlay Donovan is Killing It, where she kind of just like gets this reputation that she's someone that you can hire to get rid of a bad person or a bad husband. So that's what this is kind of making me think of. Like, it's a little bit reminiscent of that. So it sounds like a good time to me. This one sounds like it might be a little bit more serious, a little bit harder hitting topics than Finlay Donovan, but it just vaguely, barely reminds me of that book. So, and I loved Finlay Donovan is Killing It. Maybe I'll reread those. I've got the first 3. I really wanted to read Harry Potter too. I don't know. It's fall, so I need to watch Gilmore Girls, so I'm working that in too. I don't have very much free time, so we shall see. We're going on a little family fall trip too. We're going to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, since it's a family trip, and we're also meeting up with my brother-in-law's family too. We're not meeting up. We're all going and staying together. So since we're doing that, I would feel rude to bring books to read, so I won't have time to read then either, and that's going to be in about 2.5 weeks that we're doing that. So that is it for my fall TBR. I will keep you posted. Hopefully I will be back with a reading wrap-up, a successful reading wrap-up, maybe at least half of them. But, well, I've got 2 weeks with these ones. So hopefully I will be seeing you soon with a reading wrap-up. But thanks so much for watching.